when we speak about emerging impact ecosystem, especially in the MENA region. And I'm talking even more about challenging contexts, area of, extreme poverties, conflict, marginalized regions and groups. I would say that the most fundamental challenge is the absence of the weakness of the support ecosystem itself. In many places I work, like in Yemen, in Syria, or in some inner Tunisian rural regions, people have the ideas, they have the motivation, and they have the desire to create solutions for their communities. But the environment they're navigating is lacking the basic pillars of an ecosystem. It's disconnected, or it's absent, or it's very fragile. There are only few incubators, and when they're often very short-term or donor-driven, and there is no continuity between, the idea, the model, the pilot, the project. And so there is limited access to mentors, to market, or to, let alone to capital. And there is not enough state supports to help them grow their idea, which means like when people and young people are innovative, they are building these houses without like real foundation. And so they start alone, they learn alone, and they fail alone. And that can be very laborious because no one is there to really go with them through their journey. And as you know, entrepreneurship is not easy everywhere, let alone in context when there are even more challenges. So the real bottleneck I see is not the lack of talents or passions or ideas, but it's the lack of structures that allow this talent to grow, to survive, and to grow. I could like break it down or give you some example, like often like programs that support like a project. They're often, as you may know, like short-term or donor circles, and there is no continuity like on mentoring, on follow-up or investment readiness. So there may be some like workshops or like capacity building program, but then there is no continuity, or there are not enough spaces where people can meet and they can gather, they can exchange together, like very few physical spaces. And in addition, like I think also the trust infrastructures, especially more like in conflict area, this invisible ecosystem of trust, people don't trust one another, or they don't trust the system to collaborate and share the idea. I often say, like, we know how to work against one another, but not how to work together. And we can only, as you know, succeed like collectively when we share our resources and ideas. And I have people like telling me, okay, they are programmed, but we don't trust, we don't know who they are behind. So they may like be hesitant to engage. And we've mentioned capital, like capital is very hard to get, especially when you are at an early stage, while little money can go a long way in this context to test their ideas. So there are no like enough like support. So the result is quite sometimes frustrating because you have these talented people, you have the motivation, you have all the ingredients, but it's lacking like the mentors, the finance, protections, the celebration when people do well to act as a role model for their community. So it's like trying to build like a skyscraper, but there is no foundation. But like that's also where like there is the biggest like potentials and the seeds for success, and that's what keep me here, and that's why like I'm working on building the infrastructures and being an incubator of other incubators, and that where innovation emerge, and that what we need is a collective effort, and this call that we are like making all together, like having like people getting involved, like the incubator, the accelerator, the civil society, the private sectors, the change makers, all these stakeholders and players working and building these ecosystems of trust and success, actually.
Mm-hmm.